Hello everyone. I know the Linux file system can be very confusing at first, especially if you are coming from a Windows background. There is no C drive or program files folder. However, I find it actually much simpler and more straightforward. I'll try to break it down as much as possible in this video. The Linux file system is like a tree where everything starts from the root and branches out, and everything can be traced back to one root. So if you open your file manager, it will open in your home directory, which is your user home directory. If you want to go back to the root folder, you go to the other locations and hit the computer icon. Now this is the root of your computer. If you want to know where actually you are right now, you hit Ctrl L and you can see right here that this is the / or the root directory. This is the parent directory of all directories, and everything branches from here. Even your device folders or your external hard drive, everything starts from here. In the root folder, you will find the bin folder. This is actually where all your binary files or executables for the apps and software you use are actually located. Here you can find the binaries for famous commands such as ls or cat. You will find it here. Next, this is the boot folder. Normally you don't want to actually play with that. This is only for advanced users. This handles the boot of your system. Next, you have CD-ROM, which is very straightforward. Next, this is the dev, which stands for device or devices folder. If you click on it, you will find that every device you have actually has a file related to it. Next, you have the etc folder, also known as etc. or edit to configure. There has been a long debate around where the naming actually comes from. This is where all your applications store their configurations. Next, this is the home folder. You will find here all the users that you have on your system. Each user has its own folder, and inside each user folder you will find the personal configurations for each user. Next, you have a couple of lib folders, lib32, lib64, libx32. All these folders are the shared library files. There are libraries required to run the system. Then you have media and mount. Usually media is for your USB flash drives, and MNT or stands for mount. This is where your mounted hard drives exist. Normally on Linux, you will have to mount the external hard drives manually. Next we have the OPT, which stands for optional. This is where vendor applications can store their files. Next we have the proc, which is short for process and resources. Each process had its own unique ID. Next we have the root directory. This is the /root directory. This is different from the actually root of the whole system. You can think of this directory as the home directory for the root user. Next you have run. This is where all the processes that you have on your RAM are stored. So when you reboot your system, this folder starts all over again. Then you have the sbin folder, which is like the bin folder, but it has more the executables that are used for the system administration, that it should be only used by the root user. On Ubuntu, we have the snap folder. This is where the snap marketplace stores its data. In other distributions, you will not find this folder. Next, we have the SRV or the serve. This is usually where the server data is stored. So this is very important when you are running Linux as a server on the web. Next we have the sys, which is the virtual file system. This is the folder where the files that are used to interact with the kernel are stored. Next we have the temp folder. This is very self-explanatory, I guess. This is the directory where applications save their temporary files. Of course, you don't want to save anything on this folder because this folder will delete on reboot and can be deleted anytime without any notice. Then we have the USR, or also known as the Unix System Resources. Back in the old days, this is where the user home directories were stored, but now it stores the shareable and read-only files, including the binaries and libraries, man files, and other types of documentation. Next, we have the var folder. Here, the files that are expected to grow in size. This can include things like the log files, the MySQL files and other database files, the web server data files, the email inboxes files, and much more. And that's it. I hope that was helpful. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. And thank you for watching.